Greetings, Ashen here. The comic book hunter is here for another live show. So if any of you are new to my live stream, I'm going to head and break it down for you. What I do here is I review all the comics I purchased in the previous week. Then in the second act, I talk about random stuff. And in the third act, I talk about upcoming comics that you might be interested in getting. So that is the comic book hunt. If you're new to this, thank you for coming. If you're not, then welcome back. I appreciate everyone that stops by either while I'm doing this live or if you check it out afterwards. And, hopefully we're benefiting each other with this. All right. Well, anyway, let's get to it. The first comic book that I'm going to show you, and here's a little thing. I missed last week in comics. I had like 2 comic books that I picked up that week, so since it was such a small amount, I'm going to go ahead and just review them for you, and then we'll move on to the current week in comics. So here we go. First of all, we have Batman, Curse of the White Knight. Oh my god. What an issue this is. So what are we up to anyway? Book number 6. Yes. All right. Well, goodness gracious. What can I say about this one? What a comic book. Sean Gordon Murphy really pulled out all the stops in this issue, and honest to God, by the end of it, I was crying. I had teared up a bit because by the last page, wow, just wow. So if you haven't been reading the Batman Curse of the White Knight series, you really should consider picking it up. This is issue 6 of, I believe, 8. I think we're getting 8 issues. It's either 8 or 12, but I believe it's going to be 8. And this whole series has to do with Azrael and Batman and the history of the Waynes and the Joker kind of manipulating the situation. Harley Quinn is now a parent to twins, the Joker's 2 children, and everything is going crazy. A lot of secrets are coming to light, and I really just hate to spoil too much for anyone. It's just such a great series. Azrael is on a war path, and he has holy righteousness on his side, and Batman and the Bat family have been devastated by him so far, and everything is off the hook. It's crazy. So if you're looking for a really good Batman comic, let me show you a little bit of the art right here. Then this is going to be the one. And I picked this picture intentionally. I wouldn't say it's the best art from the book, but Batman saying what right there as a big reveal comes to light. Now, there is 2 major things that happen in this issue. There is a reveal about something from Batman's past and his family, and then there is a big WTF moment right at the end of the book where you can't believe it happens, and you can really feel every second of it. So, if you're looking for a great Batman book, I haven't read much better than Sean Gordon Murphy's Batman Curse of the White Knight. Excellent. Absolutely incredible. All right, next up on the docket, we have from the previous comic book week, Ruins of Ravencroft, Dracula. Now, I've been bragging about this series pretty good, and for good reason. It's been good. If you heard my rant last time, then you know I'm really pissed off because they name all these number 1s, and they're not number 1s. They all tell a story consecutively. So they are not even one-shots. Marvel is just calling everything number 1. Now, pretty soon, every issue is just going to be number 1, and then you have to figure it out. So stupid. But it has actually been a really good series, Ruins of Ravencroft. They're knocking down the old Ravencroft Asylum. Mayor Fisk is going to be putting up a new institution in its place, and they find a secret underground lair that belonged to Ravencroft, and it goes into the history of the Ravencroft family and how it tied into the institution and the dark experimentations and whatnot that were going on there. Some really creepy, crazy stuff. This issue goes in with Captain America, and it's happening back in the day as we're finding out about the history of the facility. And let me show you a little something here. We have some crazy ass, like, the Thing from Another World stuff going on here. Looks like something Clive Barker would come up with. It's just been excellent. There's Bucky over here, like, oh my goodness, poor innocent Bucky stumbling into the room and seeing this monstrosity. So this book is probably the weakest of the 3 books, but it's still a must read because it really feeds into the new Ravencroft book very well. Really sets you up for a lot of things, and I'll go into that in a second. But it's good. It's not great. I don't know exactly what I was expecting from this series. I guess I just wanted pretty much macabre, a little bit of horror, so a bit of shocking elements to it, and I got that. This book was just a little bland story-wise, but aside from that, it was almost an essential read so that you get into the Ravencroft series. Okay. So next up we have, and this is we're caught up now. This is from this past Wednesday. XForce. Yes. Now, XForce is the X book you want to be reading. Percy is writing it, and he is a great writer, and he's also going to be doing the upcoming Wolverine book, which has me very excited. Every week you come, if you haven't been here before, but every week you come that I review an X book, I just give it the highest regard. It's been a long time since I read an X book like this. As usual with the X-Men, sort of that hopefulness has kind of gone out the window. X-Force is being used as sort of a black ops team, and they do covert operations to take care of the issues that may be facing Krakoa that they got to do in quiet. So excellent series so far. Every issue has been pretty astounding. Let me go into the art a little here. This is the X-Force going in and destroying some plant-based monsters, and the subterfuge and stuff like that in this book, and these basically killers going in there, wiping out whatever they need to do, whatever's on their hit list. Wolverine is, of course, the best at what he does, and he works very well in the position they put him in. Got a lot of character going on here. Domino in the back. She has suffered in this series. You can see she has sort of skin grafts on her because she was actually captured at one point, and they were taking bits of her skin off and putting them on assassins. So that way when the assassins entered Krakoa, it would just think that Domino is there. Wow. Just such a great series. This book is... every book has been incredible so far. This is probably the least incredible book, but it's still incredible. So you can take that for what it is. I wasn't as enthused by this book as the previous ones, but it was still definitely a solid addition to the series. Okay. Next up we have X-Men number 5. The X-Men series has been pretty good so far. They set up a lot of interesting things in X-Men. It does feel like that this story meanders a bit, and it's written by Hickman, so I don't know. I know it's supposed to be kind of the hub series for all the X-Men comics, and maybe that's why it feels like it meanders a little bit, because a lot of things from a lot of other comics kind of tie back into it. But the story this time was a little meandering because basically, I don't want to spoil too much, but they come up against a vault. Somebody has locked themselves in sort of a vault, and most of the issue is just them spent figuring out how to get into this vault. And then something happens, you know. So like I'm saying, I'm not trying to spoil too much, but yeah, most of the issues trying to get into the vault, and then once you do, there's not much of a payoff. It is kind of like a WTF moment or whatever, but once they finally get in there, but it's you know, it's kind of like eh. I'm still going to keep buying it. It's a hub series. It's following up on a character that I'm genuinely interested in. It there's this like advanced humanoid that they showed in Hawks and Pox. They may have showed it earlier on in X-Men too, I'm not certain, but that character comes back in this book, so I'm interested in seeing what she's up to. But once again, it's kind of like, oh, there she is, and then it's like, oh, okay, now we meander. So I'm going to keep buying the series. I can't recommend this issue too much. It was kind of boring. Could be leading up to something though. So if you're a completionist like me and you find a series you like, I would still buy it if I were you. Let's see. This is some of the art. I love the look of this character in the foreground here. I didn't really show her face or anything, but she looks like a negative photograph almost. It's quite interesting. And she has this power, like she's trying to escape. Wolverine's after her. They're just trying to catch up with her, but she wants nothing to do with anyone. And these farmers here, she has this sort of ability, this to sway humans. And even though she's sort of an advanced version of a human, she can sway them and sort of make them do her bidding. So, you know, like I said, it was a pretty interesting issue. Just not too much happens and a lot of discussion, that kind of stuff. Makes my eyes glaze over. You know, it could be the most interesting vault in the world, but all I really care about is that they get in it. So... okay, moving on, moving on. Speaking of Ravencroft, yes, Ravencroft. This is the book I've been waiting for. You know, I tell you what, I was really excited for this book because I was super hoping Werewolf by Night would be in this book. I was really hoping for it. But it's not Werewolf by Night. It is J. Jonah Jameson, I believe. It's his son, and he is like this gem that turns him into a werewolf or something like that. And it's just it's not the same. I've been waiting for a Werewolf by Night story for a long time, and this isn't it. It's an excellent series, though. They have this one sequence in the book where, you know, you're in the new advanced Ravencroft, and Misty Knight is sort of acting like a counselor there. She's sort of a plant because, you know, she's making sure everything is going correctly in this facility. But so she's working for some people on the outside while also trying to work with the people on the inside, you know. So she is doing her job though. And there's this one session where she's sitting around a circle with a bunch of supervillains, and they're telling stories about how they got beat by this person and that person. And it was just a pretty funny sequence. There was one guy who was like, he got blown up by Deadpool. And he was like talking about the stories about where his liver ended up, and oh, you won't believe where the large intestines went. And so, you know, it's kind of this carrying on joke, but it was a pretty good issue. I'm really interested in seeing where it goes. And like I said, with the Captain America issue, ooh, we have a reoccurring thing here. You remember the Thing from Another World? Well, he might be tied to the Unwanted, the creatures in that room. And we'll see what his plans are with all these Unwanted, and how they're still dwelling around the institution, even though it is new and updated. So yeah, really excited for that. I love the macabre storytelling. I like the darker side of Marvel. Doctor Strange really doesn't do it for me anymore along those lines, but you know, monsters and stuff like that, I'm very happy to see things like that. All right, moving on. We only have 2 books remaining, and the next one I have to show you is Weapon Plus, World War IV. This is quite an interesting story. There are actually two stories in here. And this dude is sort of like a man thing. As you can see on the cover, he has a very specific purpose. And he's all got guns and everything like that. Here, I'm going to go into the art real quick. Yeah, so Man Thing is acting as some sort of an assassin working for the military. They keep promising him a antidote for his condition, but there just so happens to be always the next mission that he has to go on. So that's basically the setup for the story, and you get to see where it goes from there. I thought it was a very enjoyable story. All these Weapon Plus comics have been pretty good so far. They tie to other things that we've seen, and they build upon them. So it's pretty interesting. Also, there's this one weird story that's next called Project Brute Force, and wow, it's like PETA, but like crazed superpowered animal things. So if that sounds interesting to you, like it was as funny as it was dark. It's quite an interesting concept. So yeah, I mean, if that sounds good to you, then go ahead and check out this book. Two interesting stories. The second one's a little wacky, but also kind of dark at the same time. And this one, you really kind of feel vindicated by the end of the story with the Man Thing character. All right, now we're going on to a wild card here. I normally do not buy this. I don't own any other issue in this series. So, here we go. We're in for a weird one. Betty Page Unbound. Yeah. So why would I pick up Betty Page Unbound, huh? Well, this is a Kelsey Shannon cover here. And I remember when I was sitting in and watching the Jack show, uh, he was working on this cover. So I knew that once this came out, I was going to have to buy it. Now, of course, in the Jack show, he added all the characters from the Jack show in the background, so like you could see the eyes that are sticking out there. Those were actually people like John Malin and Star Wars Girl and stuff like that. They he kind of squeezed them all in. And I thought that was funny. So it got me excited to pick up this cover. And it was, excuse me, it wasn't just about picking up the cover. I figured, hey, why not? Well, I have this. Let me look into it a little bit, right? So here we go. So what do I find inside this comic book? Well, it wasn't what I expected. I honestly had no idea what to expect from a Betty Page comic book. You have Betty Page and a bunch of government operatives killing bee people, and then there's this big confrontation with the queen bee at the end. Some kind of like weird alien abduction thing where these people are being hooked to machines and their essences is being used or something. It was really weird. But I gotta say, it was more entertaining than I was expecting from a Betty Page comic. I mean, you see that cover I just showed you. It just has her looking cutesy, and I know she was like a model in real life, and she may have done some acting or something. But what are you gonna do? How are you gonna translate that to a comic book? So, yeah, I got more enjoyment out of it than I thought. If you want to get a Kelsey Shannon cover, if you want to read it's the last issue of a series, so you really skip all the BS and you get straight to all the action. There you go. I actually found it a bit interesting. I don't think I'm going to keep picking up Betty Page, but unless there's some kind of cover or something that draws me in. But for 4 issues of Betty Page to pick up, it was a good issue because it felt nice and rounded out, and you got all the action of being the last chapter of a series, an ongoing thing. So anyway, this is the center portion here. We've made it to the center portion. You're going to be real disappointed with the third act because there is not much coming up next week. But here we are in the center portion. And so I've already announced it over on Twitter. If anyone's interested, I'm at Ashen Jackal, one word, over there on Twitter. You can find me, follow me over there, talk about a lot of my giveaways and stuff over there. I am trying to incorporate them more over here because the YouTube format is actually a lot more important to me than over there on Twitter. So anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, the giveaway. Okay, so Jack Irons over there, somebody who actually has made a comic that I bought before. I did my random scroll thing where I scrolled up and down. I got the names all lined up and I pressed one. It turned out Jack Irons was my winner, and they will be getting mailed the comic book I promised, which is the first issue of The Question, The Deaths of Vic Sage. So they can look forward to that. I should be sending that out on Monday, I believe. So congratulations to Jack Irons. I think they're at Steel Cowboy or something like that. So that's great. That's good. So we have our winner, and clap for them. Clap for them. Yeah, it's a quiet night tonight. Nobody's stopping in here. That's okay. I needed to get this out of the way. So here's the big grand finale. There's literally nothing from any of the big publishers for me to pick up next week. Nothing I'm interested in. And that's kind of odd because this last week I bought like 7 comic books. So 2 of them I'm not talking about on this stream, but I just don't think many people would be interested. But next week, no comics, 0, but I looked around, I looked real hard, and I found something that very much so interested me. And this is something I'm going to be picking up on an ongoing basis. So are you ready for this? Ooh, what will it be? What is the new ongoing title that Ashen will be picking up? Agretzico! Yes! Oni Press has some good IPs under their belt, I gotta say. I buy for my wife, I get Invader Zim. I don't actually collect that. We are probably both going to be getting Agretzico though, because we both absolutely love that series. If you have not watched it on Netflix, do yourself a favor, go check out Agretzico. It really handles adulting in a way that makes you feel a little better about your life. You know, there's conflict and there's kind of issues that you have to go through and stuff like that in life. But it always tries to bring things out in a way that has, the best way to try and view things and get through life. You're not always going to be in a good situation. I know that firsthand. But, you can try your best and keep moving forward. So this series does that with a lot of comedy, a lot of charm, and of course a heavy metal red panda. So we'll see how that translates to comic books, but I have a feeling I'm going to love it. I'm usually very impressed by the stuff that comes from Oni Press when they handle IPs. So they got Rick and Morty, Invader Zim. Now they got Agretzico. It's a pretty good company for stuff like that. I know that they just fused with Lion Forge recently. So whatever the case is, definitely impressive. And hey, if you're a comic book collector, like you collect things for value, well, I guess this is technically the first American appearance of Agretzico in comics. So there's that. You might want to get the first appearance of Agretzico in comics, because I don't know. I honestly don't know how big this fan base is. I know I love it, so it's really all I can comment on. All right. Well, nobody stopped in this evening. That's kind of sad. I've been getting a fairly decent amount of viewers recently. I just haven't been advertising very well, but it's just, like I missed last week and here I am this week, but it is what it is. I wish I could get just a few people in here every show or whatever. I can't complain too much though. I keep going up in subscribers. I just broke 650. I'm at 651 currently. I was at 652, but I lost one when I took like a whole week off. I'm surprised more people didn't leave, honestly. But I appreciate all of you. 650 people watching my stuff, and it'd be nice if I could get them all on every video to watch my stuff, but I do appreciate every view, you know, all like 24, 25, and then 48 on my most recent video. So I really do appreciate all that, and I hope you all have a great evening. Yes.